Dear Dhamma friends, today also we are going to start this Dhamma talk. May everyone settle down and give the consent with 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse Bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Unaca parang ananda bhikkhu amanasikaritva aranya sanyang amanasikaritva patavi sanyang akatanang chayatanang paticca manasikaroti ekattang iti. Dear Dhamma friends, we are advancing along this particular sutta, namely Chula Sutta, to understand the way how to dwell in this voidness or in the emptiness. So, at the beginning, the Buddha set the picture with the cross, very large way, that is normal commoner or a putujjana, is living in this household life. While living, if he or she manage to understand this way of life is full of frustration, full of tension and stress, therefore to find kind of a relative emptiness towards the stress or frustration or the tension, living in a monastic way or spiritual way or mendicant way of life, he or she take measures to go into this forest life or monastic life or in solitude. That is what we call physical solitude. Even though it is not with spiritual idea, in a secular way also, once in a way, people take picnics and go out of the known atmosphere, and they go for solitude, go to the wilderness or solitude places. And here, still it is not much clear whether he is taken the secular way or a spiritual way, but Buddhists are usually tends to think it is a spiritual way of renunciation. So whenever he or she goes into this forest, he or she becomes free of day-to-day tension and stress as far as he or she is taking delight in this forest way of life. So therefore, when and where someone is managing to take this physical solitude or going to the forest or wilderness, he or she must appreciate it, enter into it, plunge into this solitude life. Otherwise, again and again, the day-to-day stress or tension or frustration can come in. So therefore, he or she must be skillful in just plunge into this solitude life and take delight in it, get steady in it, and have steadfastness in this solitude life. And therefore, even though if you physically get this solitude, physical solitude, if your mindset is not there, again and again you may be worrying about the thing left behind and the day-to-day life. And this is a very gross picture, and that is the exact theory, this exact model the Buddha is refining step by step. So once you go on into this aranya sanyang, that is perception regarding this solitude life, within that I introduce one part, it is not directly in the sutta. Later you confine that to your body, and then try to dwell, try to limit your attention, your adverting of the mind to your body, that is your posture. And then if you are not taking delight, if you are not plunging into that, if you are not steadying it, if you are not resolute in your bodily posture, then household matters and forest matters and immediate surrounding matters come and disturb your stream of consciousness. So therefore, if you wish to uh, confirm, if you wish to get this voidness more precise way, you are confining your attention, confining your uh, adverting of the mind just to the body, and so much so you can do away with issues regarding the household life and the issues regarding the monastic life. So there also, if you hate your body, if you hate the present moment, if you hate the present place, then that indicates your mind is still dwelling upon the household affairs and the immediate atmospheric affairs, something like the forest affairs. So therefore, it is a technique or it is a skillfulness. You have to advert the mind again and again to your body posture. And you have to take delight. You must appreciate it. You must be glad, so much so, day by day, sitting by sitting, walking session by walking session. I am familiarizing myself. I am be friendly with myself, and it is increasing. That is what we call the spiritual development. That means you become your best friend. Whatever the posture, you try to be aware. It is not just mere coincidence. It is due to my repetitive application of the mind. And if it is increasing, don't worry about the occasional tension, frustration, stress pertaining to the household life and the monastic life, because it is natural. So, way out is to apply mind again and again, seeing that your mindfulness on the breath, body is increasing. And you are the very first person to understand it. Don't ask others. If you are asking, that means you don't understand the word meaning of mindfulness. You have some other agenda, some complicated agenda. That is why you are not monitoring it, you are not entertaining it, you are not talking about that. That may be some other agenda. So many yogis, whenever they come into this monastic life or celibate life, they have a lot of other agendas, so much so their interview report is complicated. But no one goes directly exactly to the target also. So each and everyone has to go through certain amount of trial and error, because this is a trip against the grain. Imagine when and where you comes to know that my association with the present moment, my association with the bodily posture is increasing, that's well and good. And when it is happening, you try to see in detail what does it mean by dwelling upon the posture. Then you have to understand each and every thought moment you are dwelling upon your posture is being exemplified by the metabolic functions in the body, or whatever you feel about the body, whatever you perceive the body, and that is what we call the interview report. If you can't give, if you are going to say, I am dwelling in the body, but I don't feel it, I don't perceive it, that means something wrong. It never happen. If you see, if you look, you see. That is the norm in the Vipassana way. If you look, you see. If you do not look, you see. You don't see. If you look and see, it is possible for you to report to the teacher or to the interviews. So therefore, just bring the attention to the body, and that is the way you advert the mind. And when and where mind is dwelling, or the mindfulness is dwelling in the body, there are signs, there are feelings, perception and volitional activities, and to prove, now I am here. For me, I put it in this way, three-dimensional way. One thing is, when and where you dwell in the posture, there are signs to indicate I am not dead. That your life continuum always issuing a message, telling that I am not dead. And the second part of second dimension is, you are sure you are not sleeping. You are awake. The third aspect of is that you are not unconscious. You are not fainted. You know my mind is conscious, mindful. If you know these three, I am not dead, I am not sleeping, I am not unconscious, irrespective of the sitting, walking, standing and sleepiness, sleeping posture, these three signs indicate I am mindful. These are the early signs or gross picture of the mindfulness. When and where you become mindful on your body or bodily posture, maybe cardinal four postures or posture junctions, irrespective of the posture or posture junctions, the continuous message is there to indicate I am not dead, I am not sleeping, I am not unconscious. So that is the sign, and that sign is very, very fearful for the people, those who do not know mindfulness. That sign is such a solace, such a voidness, such a emptiness for the people really understand the mindfulness in the healthy way. That is what you call noble people. For the noble person, knowing that I am not dead, knowing that I am not sleeping, knowing that I am not unconscious, it's almost like Nibbana. But the people, those who have self-criticism, the people who finding fault with others, and they are not thinking in the correct way, knowing here and now is a capital punishment. Like, I met one monk, ex-army officer from the American army. He has gone on the Vietnam War, very rugged person, well-built frame, but internally very soft person. You can't judge him by looking at him. He's a hectic person, but internally he's such a soft person. So he became a monk. Ultimately, he went to a Zen Buddhist Zen meditation center, and in the congregation, the teacher has asked them to radiate the metta to oneself. Be aware that I am comfortably sitting here and now. So he tried, he said, to bring the attention inwardly to the here and now. His mind was so upset. He can't radiate metta to oneself. He started crying consecutively 3 days, morning to evening, crying, because he has done killing so much of innocent people. So whenever you try to be friendly with yourself, the mind is not happy. So he has reported to Rinpoche telling that I can't direct my mind. Whenever it is going there, it is irritated, crying. Then he said, this is the way of catharsis. Continue even not only 3 days, 3 weeks. Then only you can be friendly with your body. So therefore, being friendly with your body is the human nature. As far as you are not friendly with your posture, as far as you don't know how to be pakkhandati pasidati, you are almost like a beast, almost a human shape but a beast, because you are proliferating unwanted agendas rather than radiating metta or understanding or experiencing the present moment. So therefore that itself is on the way to the voidness, on the way to emptiness, and this perception cannot easily put into words, but that experience is very solid, very concrete, and very spiritual. It's very religious, and never we do unless otherwise we listen to Buddha, unless otherwise we listen to Dhamma, unless otherwise we try to be Sangha, unless otherwise we hold into our morality. So this is a prime gain, or the early signs that you are happy with yourself. You are happy with here, happy now. So that is why I introduce that, bring the attention to the posture. You don't expect that into the Chula Sutta, but in Satipatthana Sutta, easily you can see it. And once you go into the posture, next, when and where you try to experience, be on the ball, then you see metabolic actions to indicate you are not dead. There are some metabolic action you can feel to indicate you are not sleeping. And there are some metabolic action you can see you are conscious, you are not unconscious. So these things, maybe the breath, maybe rising and falling, maybe you are walking left and right, or maybe you are washing a dish and you can feel the dish, and maybe you are sleeping and you can feel your bed sheet. All these are indicates that you are here and now, you with your body. But the great masters, include starting from the Buddha, never recommend sleeping and standing posture for the beginners. It is the walking and sitting posture are the friendly postures for the beginners. And sitting posture is what we often take as an example. But for this Chula Sutta, it equal chance it give to the walking posture, because when and where you try to be here and now, and when and where you confine your attention as much as possible to your posture, that means you are confining your attention to the four elements. The body means agglomeration of elements. So more and more you familiarize your posture, you will see its experience is changing. Perception is changing. Feeling is changing. And your changing of the posture, your involvement, your volition in motion changing. And therefore it appear like infinite facets, infinite amount of feelings, infinite amount of perception and bodily movements and understanding. But when you keep on practicing, ultimately you will see whatever may be the combination, only 4 actors are working. These 4 elements, they are the people making this drama, different episodes, and at a time, one element is prominent, others going to give the base or the platform. And next time another element will become prominent, and other 3 give the background or platform. So this is the game is happening. So even though body means 4 elements, at a time it is called one donkey at a time, only one element is running the game. So then the Buddha says, now from there, only be attentive to the earth element whenever it is prominent. Only to be attentive air element whenever that is prominent. Or heat element, the water element is getting a lesser chances. Even the water element happens, it is difficult to understand. Also, those are most prominent is of course the air element. That's why the breath become the main actor, or the rising and falling become the main actor. Then only when and where the air element is not prominent, the earth element and fire element become the next main actor. And here, I don't know why it is, the Buddha mentioned about the earth element, and later commentators, they says that is indicating you are take the earth casino and you go and sit and look at the earth casino, and there you are going to develop jhanic experiences. That is why the earth is being referred. For a person like me, not the earth element, earth casino outwardly, this is more rather explaining your own earth element within your body. That is why I prefer to put the body and then come back to the earth element. And within your body also, the 4 elements are working. And whatever the element become prominent may not be just like earth casino. It may be changing from one to the other, but even then momentarily you can focus them, you can aim at it. And that is called abhibhayatana kasina. Whenever your attention is on the teeth, bones, nails, they appear like earth element. Whenever attention is the blood, the runny nose, saliva, that's the water element. Heat and cold, heat element. And rising and falling, in-breath and out-breath, movements of the legs appear like air element. So they change each other. Whatever may be, for vipassana, you take something your own within your body, subjective. But in commentator is going to see the objective one as a Patave Kasina. So that is also possible. But I feel this is more organic to take element within. And when and where you try to see hardness, stiffness, tension, smoothness, roughness, heaviness, lightness, these are the symptoms indicating the earth element. So when and where it happens, if even though that roughness, heaviness and hardness is irritating, it's a very clear sign mind is now mindful on the body. So that is the part the Buddha tried to put in a very nice way. It appear like a dharatamatta. Ye asu dharatamatta patavi sanyam paticca. You feel friction. You feel irritation. You feel rough sensation. Even though it is not pleasant, it's a very clear indication. Mind is with now earth element. So you have to make a reason to be glad, even if it is rough, even if it is heavy, even if it is hard. You have to make a reason to be glad because you have done away with household problems, you have done away with monastic problems, you have done away with the total body as such. Now your mind is only associating with the earth element. That is why you feel heaviness. That's why you feel roughness, hardness. So that is the point. That is the point where you can understand whether your mind is in the correct direction or wrong direction. When you are listening to the other person, you have to understand when he or she is reporting about heaviness in the body, roughness in the body, do they consider it as a achievement of the mindfulness or distraction for the mindfulness? If they are in the wrong mindset, they will say, I can't sit, I feel heavy. I can't sit, I feel rough. I can't feel, I get hard. So, but of course they are symptoms, early signs of mind is plunging further and further. But the way they present indicate, they expect the pleasure principle. They are not happy even as a symptom to feel hardness, to feel roughness, to feel heaviness. Of course, heaviness is always compared with the lightness. Hardness is with the smooth. But they are talking only about the difficult side, the gross side, and consider as a complaint. It's a charge sheet. Your interview report is a charge sheet to the master, telling I came here in search of Nibbana. You gave me this kind of a pain, friction, distraction. Give me the answer. That's the way interview report is happening. So I am being punished to listen to interview reports for about 18 months and ask me to see how they are reporting. Whatever the thing happening under their very nose, it's a very clear sign for the master. Mind is now here, now, with the body, and it is the earth element. But they put it in a very sour terms that because their attitude, their viewpoint is wrong. So Pandita Sayadaw is such a vast knowledge, he says, that is not because of the fault of the disciple, it's a fault of the master. Because master has not clarified the point. Therefore, master must take the complete responsibility. They are reporting wrongly because they are not being given the theoretical understanding. So 100% come up to the master's account. So what the masters are doing is teach them in different ways. Theoretically, question and answer, and all the way telling this is natural. Anyone come into the meditation sphere as a beginner, this is the way. Don't consider this as a negative. Don't consider this as a weakness. This is the human mind. Please go back and rewrite it and come. I will never get angry with you. So when Jnana Rama, my teacher, he used to say, the disciple may do the mistake for the 100th time. But even then, don't find fault with them. You have to correct it. And after, with compassionately, you have corrected. 101st also, he or she may come with the same mistake. Don't worry. Give the advice for the 102nd. And later he says, some dangerous diseases also can cure. So therefore, don't worry. Consider this as your weakness. So that is the part very difficult. That's a part very expensive. That's a part you have to pay a lot. That is why the respect for the masters. And if you can understand the message to the suttas, it is like a target shooting. First you are shooting to the board. Second, you at least try to the outer circle. And more focus, you are going to the little by little the inner circle. So you must plunge into the inner circle. That does not indicate in the board outer circles are not there. Outer circles are there, don't talk. That is none of your business. You have to come to the center. So therefore, don't worry about the household things. They come. Don't talk. Don't advert your mind. Don't react. Don't assume. Instead, see, can you see monastic problems instead, which is more conducive to the voidness, and then you replace the household thing by the monastic thing, and that will be replaced by the body sensation, and that will be replaced by the earth element. Likewise, you must know gradually how to replace the gross thing by a subtle thing. So it is even great for children can understand it. They are highly understanding it. They are very, very absorbing very fast. But the old crocs, the elderly people, very difficult. Because they have grabbed hold to their likings and disliking. At any cost, they are not giving up that. They are not happy to compromise with the new, subtle criteria. Otherwise, if you know the art, at a given time, all are there. At a part of your thinking, they are thinking about the household things. Yet another part of your mentality thinking about the retreat affairs. Yet another part thinking about the body. Yet another part thinking only on the earth element and only report the earth element part, cut everything. Then you are very fast, very straightforward, going to the, what you call the dwelling on the emptiness, dwelling in the voidness. So it is not that something earning and not that you are searching. It's always there. It is understanding. Instead of this, go for that. So whenever you learn this art, whenever you understand the way out, next day you will see, whenever you go prepared to see the earth element, not that other elements are not there, not that the household affairs thinking is not there, not that matter related to the retreat is not there, not the whole body matter is not there, but you know, and when you try to pakkandati means come close association, long association, that very clearly indicate you can see different manners and different patterns and different natural characteristics of the earth element. That indicates mind is progressing. That indicates the mind and the object of meditation come closer and closer. So it is a very straightforward thing. If you associate the particular object, here we have taken the earth element, more and more, you see different facets. And if you associate the object plunging manner and immediate way, then you can see it has different manners, different shapes, and different natural characteristics. So your report will be full of Dhamma juice, Dhamma sap. It is called Dhamma oja. Lot of information regarding the Patavi Dhatu. Lot of information about its shapes and manners that clearly indicate you are now plunging into the Patavi, or the functions of Patavi and association with Patavi, close association with Patavi. Not that Patavi Dhatu is lovable thing. Not that Patavi Dhatu is going to give a pleasure. Not that Patavi Dhatu is the Nibbana, but it indicate your mindfulness is steadfast, your direction is correct, and you can see lot of information or amplified way of information over the Patavi Dhatu. So much so you are secured from the day-to-day problems, day-to-day stress, your day-to-day tension. So much so you are secured, done away with the retreat-related or forest-related issues. So much so you have done away with the whole body-related issues. Now issues are there, problems are there, frictions are there, aberrations are there, but it is limited to the Patavi Dhatu. That is also not a coincidence. It is not a mishap. It is due to your plunging. It is due to your adverting, and it is due to your professional skillfulness. And if you can't discriminate this and clearly understand, clearly discern, clearly perceive that I am not attending to the perception regarding the forest dwelling, I am not attending to the perception regarding to the whole body, now my mind is only with the, if at all, any friction that is pertaining to the earth element, that means you can understand so much you have gained security and done away with the frustration, done away with the stress, and done away with the tension, and that is the exact way you are progressing. And whenever you see Patavi Dhatu, the methodology or the way out, the Patavi Dhatu, or the hardness, or the softness, or the heaviness, or lightness, or smoothness, or roughness, there are 6 facets in the Patavi Dhatu according to the book knowledge. When and where it is happening, you can see relative other part. Whenever you feel hard on your leg, when you are walking, that you also understand the earth is soft. When you feel the soft in the, hard in the earth, subsurface, that means your leg is soft. When you feel something heavy, it is something related to the lightness. So therefore this earth element always refer to 2 extreme qualities, heaviness and lightness. Heaviness cannot stand by itself without the lightness. That is the relativity theory. So when and where you complain about the hardness, maybe in your neck or in your right leg, knee, and you have to understand, you expect lightness, that is why hardness becomes your enemy. Or it is hit against something that is soft, that is why leg become hard. So when and where hardness appear, instead of complaining, your mind is going to do the research where the softness is. When and where the heaviness happens, you have to make your heaviness is something reality. It is yatha buccham, as it is. And savipallatta, it is not a mind-made one. It is something real. It is the truth. It's pure. It is, as far as I know, it is hard by itself. There should have, the background must be light, soft. Likewise, when and where you give that kind of a contemplation, it's of course deductive, of course rational, of course theoretical, and that make the picture is complete. Because our senses always go less than 50%. Balance of it, you have to fill with the theory and the deductive knowledge, and it must be correct way. It must not be a wrong deductive knowledge or wrong theory. When and where what is under your very nose is backed by the real theoretical facts and the deductive understanding, you feel so much elated. You feel the Dhamma. You feel in the three-dimensional way, whatever the little bit thing you personally experience is backed by the theory of the Buddha or Dhamma. And it has a very nice system, never contradict each other. It's always reconfirming. So therefore, when and where you feel hardness, softness, heaviness, lightness, instead of complaining, you try to understand the totality. When and where it is happening, not only that it is always reciprocal with opposite. Each and every hardness, tiny bit of hardness has its own beginning, its middle and the end. Even the tiny bit of softness has these three characteristics. The beginning, changing nature and disappearance. And the lightness, heaviness, each and everything associate all with the contradictory extremes. And the other one is, each and every one has intrinsically its own origin, and then it becomes manifested in the very fast moving nature, and it ceases to exist without a second nature, without medicine, without second person. So if you patient enough to see the beginning and see its manifestation, that torturing, that burning, and then how it is ceases to exist. So you see, the Patavi Dhatu, manifestation of the Patavi Dhatu, it is happening in the universal law. Unless otherwise you fork fingers, you go for anesthesia, you go for painkillers, then only situation become completely complicated, and the body give the responsibility, leave this thing, ultimately you end up with the iatrogenic effect, and no one can cure. That is called, in commentator there is, Besajja Samuttita Rogo Atekicho. It is arising because of your treatment. It's arising because of your manipulation. And if you leave it aside, it has its own natural cure. This is the way world is working. So more and more you understand, this appearance of the hardness is not without a cause and effect. It has its own due cause and effect. Whenever the variables are changing, the nature of the hardness disappearance, that means when the causes disappears, effect disappears. Your egotistic idea, your conceit, and your craziness and craviness to have the pleasure is the what make you impatient to interact with this pain, interact with this hardness, softness and kind of thing. Don't please misunderstand me. I am a Pentecostal person to go for no medicine. Not that I am telling like that. I am telling still you can put up with. You can little bit be with the pain. If it is hard or if it is rough, be with it and see how the graph is working without anyone's involvement, and little bit be patient and see how it is going. When it's going there, you may see, often you see Patavi Dhatu only at the middle part. You never see a rising part of the Patavi Dhatu. Already arisen Patavi Dhatu only we can understand, because our senses are very gross. After a certain amount of threshold value only it can perceivable. Before perception, it's a developing part is there. It's always behind the screen. It is always under the carpet. So the Buddha says, when and where you see a rising part of the Patavi Dhatu, see its contrast, see its beginning, middle and the end, and make sure your senses only can feel the middle. And therefore, you have to fine-tune and be vigilant before it arising. That is called preparedness. You must be prepared. Everywhere it is arising and passing away, don't complain once arisen, then it's too late. That's called pamada. Instead be apamada to see the rising part. Then you are rising, when you are ready to see a rising, that must be kind of a welcoming idea. Even the pain, even the irritation, even the torturing, even the burning, even if it is with multivarious variables, you must be prepared. That preparedness partly indicating pakkandati pasidati. Pasidati means you are not consider the rising part of the Patavi Dhatu as an enemy. You can say it's a way advancing to the dwelling in voidness, way advancing to the dwelling in emptiness. So therefore you are sharpening your faculties. So one day you can see, before it come to the unbearable level, it has its arising part. More and more you see this arising part means your mindfulness is very vigilant, very mobilized, and senses become very, very sharp, tuned. So that means even a tiny little pain also become very perceivable. Even tiny little sound become irritating. Even tiny little thought, thinking become irritated like because your sensitivity. So this area sometimes go over control. 2-3 nights you have to spend sleepless. But throughout that, so much of flux, so much of things are happening, and mind is so sharp, everything appears very, very amplified. You feel like inside the big machine or in a factory, 24 hours it is working. That is how the body is working. So far you have not seen it. Once you are to see at least the earth element, how much it is working incessant way, even without a split second of rest, it's working. And when and where the mindfulness is focused into that, you see you get caught up. Even in sitting posture, walking, standing, lying down, even in the sleep, you see it is working. So when that happens, that means your mindfulness is very, very sensitive. Your senses are, or sharpness is increasing. And that's where you go for the clairvoyance and the dibba chakku, all the kind of things are happening because senses are spreading. Bell-shaped curve, you are going to the two tail ends and it's a vast area. We have never experienced it, even though we have the potential, even though we have the possibility, we never go. But when you go down there, you can see sometimes it develops the microscopic development. Sometimes develop the telescopic developments. You can see far away thing, or you can see, you can magnify whatever thing happens. So whenever you look at even animal, you see everything is moving. And whenever you look at your shadow, you can see there is no proper margin. Margins are blurred. There's no. And you sit and wait and see, the shadow is not stable. When the sun is moving, shadow also moving. So all the things appear very, very dynamic. That's called mobilizing. And they are, when and where that come up to the peak or surmounting, then the mind about to see the cessation part. Not your aim, your adverting of the mind is to the beginning, the rising part. When and where that is being tuned, when and where that is being synchronized, when and where that sensitivity increases, say in the same token, you can see the cessation part. And their mind develops so much of fear, so much of uncertainty, so much of entertaining doubts, because in the conventional world, the cessation appears like the death. Cessation is something unauspicious. We try to do away with. So therefore you have a natural phobia, natural fear of freedom. Whenever the friction disappears, whenever the irritation disappears, whenever the frustration disappears, you feel like cornered. You feel like lost. You feel like loneliness. So therefore, again you try to bring the attention to the gross object. So some people, whenever the breath becomes subtle, they used to go for force breathing. Where they think, I am being asked to be mindful on the breath. If the breath is not there, what to do? I have to purchase something from the supermarket and then start meditation on the already purchased breath. So they keep on breathing. And sometimes when in the walking, they hit the ground, telling to get the proper understanding of the earth element, because everything becomes subtle. As you are merging each other. So that is the way you don't know how to facilitate this subtle part. It is not a personal mistake. Whenever it is happening, you feel like a person from the Saturn. You are not an earthly person. You can't walk. When you are walking, wobbling happens. When you are sitting, jerking happens. When you are sitting, crawling, animals are there. And sweating, head is dropping. And even the sleep, you take up and thud into the sleeping, so much of thing happens. So there should have a black magic person in the each and every bed to pacify you. You hate the truth. You are not happy with things as they are. You never expect. This is the result of mindfulness. Instead you will say, Yakka came, Bhuta came, of course Maha Bhuta. The same Mahabhuta for elements, but you have never seen its game. When it's happening, so much of thing. So easy way to go to the asylum. You will claim you are mad. Definitely. Of course you are mad. But this is the way you know at least you are mad. You are claiming I know, but without seeing. Whenever you are to see, you never expect this kind of thing. So that is why the Buddha says, Patisallana, go to a solitude place, because otherwise people will throw stones or rotten eggs the way you do. That's why go to the forest, sit under a tree, go to a solitude place, associate with the same kind of mad people, then no problem. We are all in the same boat. That's why association with the meditators, and the meditator also must be very, very compassionate to the others. Don't aggravate this kind of thing. And that is why it says, don't teach others. Don't claim you are a senior meditator, and don't try to have here and there Dhamma discussions. Don't mislead people. You will never do if you have the idea about Sunnatha Vakkanti, how to enter into the emptiness or voidness. This is the way, the tapering part. That tapering part is called the tail end of the Patavi Dhatu. There you find, instead of the hard wall, you find heat bubble, cold bubbles, and tiny, tiny creatures or dust. And between them, if you are bold enough, or if you have this adhimucchati, the clarity and foresight about things, you see between each and every tiny particle, huge space. Every particle is covered by a space. That's why they can move swiftly. Just like a beehive on a swarming, they can play while flying. Likewise, there's a huge amount of space, and so far, our senses was only aimed at existing part, that is called Patavi, but earth element, and the space is known as non-existent. So existence is wrapped up with the non-existence. So now you are bound to see the non-existence of the materiality that appear like nauseatic, that is vomitish, that appear like doubtful, because earlier it was a flat wall-like concrete thing. And when you are observing same thing again and again, even this carpet appear dancing. Even the wall appear dancing. And there you wipe your eyes and again you see, and you are observing the same thing happen. And if you get proper instructions, that means adhimuchat, you have the confidence, yes, I am about to see the akasa, amidst of all the patavi tiny particles. And when and where you have that kind of a pakkandati, to see the gap between two particles, that is to see the thinnest timing, slicing of the time, so sharp, little by little, you see more than Patavi particles, Akasa, explain 95% of the volume. That is why the Patavi Dhatus can play here and there, and it is in a cosmic dance. The dance stage or the background is Akasa. Akasa is absence of Patavi. So now with respect to Patavi, you tend to understand absence of Patavi, that is Akasa. With respect to the known, now mind is going to the unknown. So when these two going to happen, that appear a stress, that appear like a friction, that appear like a tension. Of course, if you are going from the tension to no tension, friction to no friction, there should have a release, but it is not happen. Even though you go from the Patavi to non-Patavi or Akasa, you feel still mind is not ready to embrace it. Mind is not ready to plunge into it. Mind is not happy with it. Mind is not taking the establishment there. Mind is not in the foresight of it, because the mind is, that's a function of the consciousness. It always divide and rule. It makes have and have to, have and not have, separate and try to understand, give labels. Have, you can say Patavi. Not have, we can say absence of Patavi or Akasa. Then you will say, if the Patavi is having some characteristics, shapes and the manner, why not? Akasa is not having the shapes and the manner. So you get engaged. That is the function of the Vijnana. Vijnana is separate them as try to rule. So as far as Vijnana is not been recognized, that make friction, that make frustration, that make kind of a irritation. So even though you are slowly shifting to the non-frictional area, comfort zone, there's an internal resistance is there. So more and more you go to this absence of Patavi, more and more you go to this space, your consciousness has become uncomfortable. It began losing its jurisdiction, losing its executive powers, and magician about to get caught in its magic. So therefore, sweating, nauseatic, uncomfortability is happening. So therefore, when and where you are about to see the akasananchayatana, that means endless space, natural rational thinking is you must be more free, you must be more relaxed, comfort. But as far as you don't know the dirty nature of your mind, perverted nature of your mind, the cheating nature of the mind, it make a friction, have and have not in between. And you get entangled with storytelling, entangled with proliferation and proliferation of the mind. So you have to just wait and see how much the underlying consciousness is make stories with have and have not. So therefore, if you do not have any idea about Akasananchayatana is under the Akasananchayatana, there's a Vijnananchayatana, the mind is still active. Try to make divide and rule, and that is the another cause of suffering. So just look, this is Patavi, this is lack of Patavi. This is a have, this is do not have. And if you can observe again and again, and if you have any theoretical understanding about the existence of the Vijnana, then only one time you can see, even it is path is more towards sunya, void, emptiness, your very mind is the culprit. Make friction out of that. So you have to be aware Don't let the mind to come out and give opinions. Don't try to overrule it. Just observe your mind is the only culprit preventing your meditation. If you know, you can see the magic of the mind, how the mind is manipulating it. So don't react to it. And don't be callous also. You have to be aware, and the only way out is repetitive application. Let that akasa happen and see how much nauseatic feelings are happening, how much you feel bored, how much you feel monotonous, how much you feel entertaining doubts, how much you feel uncertainty. That is because you have not seen the role of the consciousness that is dividing and ruling. And the day you see it, you will definitely will conclude, this is not my consciousness, this is the universal consciousness. Each and everyone is suffering without knowing the agenda of the mind. And they think mind is for my benefit, mind is for my well-being. But whenever it is going to the sunnatha, when it's going to the voidness, mind is the main block. It's a main friction. So whatever the understanding of the Buddha about the mind won't avail for your benefit. You have to understand when and where mind is manifesting. So it happens, of course it is always happening, when you are reducing and reducing and reducing, going to the have and have not in terms of earth element, maybe exactly the same, have and have not of the air element, have and have not of the water element, and heat exactly the same. But we have taken this earth element as the example here. When it is ceases to exist, when it is disappearing, when it's at the tail end, you can see kind of a camouflage. So far in our life, we have seen it billions of times, but this is the black spot. It's a dark spot, blind spot. Mind never ponder into that because mind is the culprit. So therefore it is very uncomfortable to see its own trick. So how much alertness, how much mindfulness, how much non-judgmental, how much non-reaction, how much not unassuming nature you should have to understand your own mind. Maybe your colleague or teacher or Buddha or everyone knows, but till that you see it, you always fertilize the mind. You always nurturing the mind. You always make ladders to the mind. Ultimately, it going to overrule everything, and again you are back into the same old fractionism, same old sectarianism, and say this is good, this is bad, this is my liking, this is not my liking, and ultimately you end up with again the same old desire, the same old conceit, same old egocentric thinking. So let it happen and non-judgmentally see how much the mind is playing this game. And unless you see yourself, whatever the theoretical understanding you have on the Tipitaka, no use. Whatever the practice you have to boil the situation up to that, till that you get the correct perspective, the mind is taking the upper hand, you become slave. So you have to understand the mind, how it is sectarianism. Sectarianism means it finds one part of the phenomena liking, other part is dislike. This is comfort, this is discomfort. This is a gain, this is a loss. That is what we call 8 vicissitudes of the world. As far as mind is there, you take one-sided decision. That is why you become a mercenary. That's why you become sectarianism. That's why you become singleist Buddhist. And you are fighting for that, thinking that is for your benefit. You don't know this is a game of the mind. So Buddha says, in that area, I can't help you. Even the Buddha's omniscient knowledge can't help. But that particular person go prepared, pakkandati, pasidati, santittati, adimucchati. He is happy to plunge into it and see the game of the mind. And he is pasidati, he is happy. Now only I know what does it mean by the consciousness. Santittati, he try to keep that moment ever in the current. Don't let go, don't disappear. Keep in view with that is Santittati. Adimucchati, he knows one day by keeping this bee on the ball, keep it under the nose, one day I can understand the magic of the mind. So you have your own confidence. This is the way you let your mind advance from the akasa to the vijnana. At that, whenever the cessation become prominent, how the mind is playing, how crooked it is, and how storytelling, how is perverted, and understanding of the perverted mind is not a perversion. Understanding of the dirty thing of the mind is not a dirty thing. The disciplinarians consider understanding of the dirtiness of the mind is as a dirty. So they have no path on vipassana. For disciplinarian, there's no. But you must be very rational person. You must be very open-minded person. Understanding your weakness is what you call wisdom. Understanding your weakness is your ability. Understanding your weakness is your strength. That's what the Buddha is going to inject. So if you are not happy, you will succumb to the mind. It is split and rule. It is always go for sectarianism, so there won't be any unification. So, of course, even you understand the vijnana, you are still not full-time, full-fledged in the unification. You are on the way. More and more you go there, more and more you understand the word meaning of sunnatha. More and more you go there, more and more you understand word meaning of voidness. So these are the crucial stages. Saddha is no any use. Everything is measurable. Everything is one-to-one relationship. When you come up to this level, Saddha has nothing to do. Saddha is happening, manifesting as adimucchati. You have a foresight. You know definitely I am going to break this ignorance. That much of Saddha, not on the Buddha. You have your own Saddha on your own practice, your own background, your own mistakes. So it is the way you give the highest value for the humanity, highest value for yourself, not in the conceited way, but full-fledged living. That's the full potential or full possibility. You understand the human mind. Otherwise, you are under the storytelling, under the game, or under the cheating nature of the mind. Whatever you do, you are a slave. Because you don't know the racket, you don't know the agenda. When you come closer to this, you can understand what a kind of discovery the Buddha understands as the understanding the mind. Not by physical exercise and karate and judo and kind of thing. Not by rhetoric teaching and talking, but the mind game. Then the Buddha believing that each and every commoner, if he is going step by step, they can go into that. It's a kind of a resolution. It's a kind of adimucchati, Buddha says each and every human can do. So therefore, understand each day how your mind came from the household life to the monastic life, or monastic life to the confinement to the body, from the confinement to the body to one of the element prominent, and there are also the cessation part, and then see the pathway opening to the space, and when the pathway is opening, you see how the mind become agitated, how the mind become exposed, and there it play all the dirty tricks, and let it play. And if you are bold enough, you are develop your own adimucchati, that means your own foresight, you can do it. When that when that kind of positive thinking started, even the Mara loses its all the grip. Kilesas do nothing. Nothing kilesas can do, because you are with a very powerful weapon. The mindfulness, you know how to whack here and there. So therefore it is appear like a hobby, appear like an adventurous thing. Let the mind to play. Let the mind to come out with that story and this story and fabrication, and see what is underneath. Is a desire, or is a conceit, or is that my egocentric idea? The moment you understand it, you see how much you have cheated to not to see them. But the things are there. So this is how you are little by little go into the emptiness and the voidness. Hope I am not mixing you people. I hope you know how to use these subtle weapons, but don't let it be a subtle weapon gone into a monkey. Then it will damage itself. It must be gone to a skillful person, and that is why we day by day go into the deep, and hope you can go into the sap of the Dhamma, the juice of the Dhamma, and be more and more charged and more mobilized for the things to happen as and when it happens, without any preconceived ideas and prejudgmental way, unassuming way. With that idea, with that remark, I would like to sum up today's talk. Thank you very much for listening.